Hello everybody and welcome back to Farmhand Reacts. Or welcome if it's your first time, of course. Today we are going to watch one of the YouTube videos about how to start a cattle farm. I guess you just buy some cows. Now, I think the best thing to do is to get some experience with cattle. First of all, go to a farm, see if you can help out a few days. If you're not scared of the cows, at least. And I think if you have the basics, you can buy some cows and start small. I don't know. Crazy ant. I don't know, there are a lot of ants here. Maybe I need to find out where they come from, or why they are here. Anyway, yeah, in a hotel, yeah, no, weird, isn't it? Let's just watch the video and see where we are going with her. I do my feet up. Video, let's go.
4 years ago, I was a full-time teacher, but my dream was to be.
Okay. The funny thing is the person that's running the farm where I work for now, he was a teacher as well. But I don't think he ever dreamed of taking over the farm. He just married the daughter of a farmer, and he's basically doing the day-to-day chores on the farm now.
Become a cattle farmer. Now, farming is my full-time job, and I'm here to teach you how to start raising cattle. In this video, I'll walk you through each step of starting your farm, including selecting a breed of cattle, determining how much land you need to raise them, sourcing equipment like fencing, waterers, mineral feeders, corrals, and more. I'll discuss keeping your herd healthy with vaccinations and parasite prevention, and utilizing rotational grazing to heal the land with livestock. Stay tuned until the end of this video when I'll share my top 3 tips for financing your farm affordably. If I was starting a cattle farm, this is how I'd do it. Let's get started!
Yeah, okay. It looks like she has cattle for meat and no milk production.
If you've decided to start a cattle farm, congratulations! You've made the first of many important decisions on your farming journey. Raising livestock relies on decision-making based on the unique qualities of your farm and your life. Here's the first big question to ask yourself. What are my goals for raising cattle? Maybe you're already raising livestock, like pastured poultry, and you're adding cattle in hopes of managing pasture health or regenerating your land. Maybe you're a complete beginner, hoping to build a profitable agro-business from scratch. Whether you're raising cattle to feed your family, generate revenue for your business, or strengthen your soil, your goals must guide your decision-making. Let's tackle some of the big decisions you'll make as you start your cattle farm. Where will I raise cattle? Land availability.
That's a good question. And what country? Most likely some rules she tells you, wherever she is, will not apply where you are. So figure it out. That's why it's a very good idea to work at the cattle farm a few months, so you get to know the rules a little bit in the area you want to buy.
And access is a major obstacle for new and beginning farmers. Purchasing land is a significant investment, and determining how much land you need can be tricky. You don't necessarily need 100 acres or even 10 acres to start a cattle operation. Let's address the
Depends where you are, because it depends how fast grass is growing and what kind of soil it is, of course.
biggest question an aspiring cattle farmer should ask themselves. What will I do with the cattle I raise? There are a few reasons you might add cattle to your
Better.
farm. For example, to produce dairy. Though I won't talk specifically about dairy cattle in this video, the advice I share may come in handy for aspiring dairy farmers, so stay tuned. The next reason you might add cattle to your farm is to raise beef, then sell the meat or use it to feed your family. Beef production is the way most small-scale farmers start raising cattle. In this model, you'll need to purchase young steers, which are castrated male cattle, and feed them on forage, hay, or grain. Side note, I highly recommend you don't feed grain for your cattle for many reasons. More on that later.
Yeah, that's one way to go. It's very cheap to buy them, the steers, we call them. But you can do like buy just in calf, like small ones. It takes a while before you get some profit, but anyway. And there can be steers in between them as well. That's no problem whatsoever. They're castrated, so.
If you want to raise beef cattle on a small scale, there are two main ways to make money. First, you can sell the beef from your steers. Whether you sell it directly to consumers, wholesale to a store, or through a farmer's cooperative, you'll need to find a reliable market for your products. The second way to make money with beef cattle is by raising steers, but selling them before processing. Much of America's beef production is split between stocker farms and finisher farms. Stocker farms raise steers to the ideal pre-finishing weight of about 800 pounds, then sell the cattle to a finishing farm, often a feedlot farm. There, the steers are fed grain so they'll reach the ideal finishing weight as quickly as possible. If you want to raise cattle, starting a stocker farm may seem like the easiest choice, but finishing farms often have low standards of animal welfare.
Yeah, I agree. I would not sell my cow to one of those farms. If first they are out on the pastures all day long, and then they are inside or standing like waiting for food, then that's not the right way.
And negative impacts
I would not even buy that kind of meat
on the land and ecosystems around them. Instead, you can raise steers like I do, with regenerative techniques like rotational grazing. These methods let you raise beef on pasture with minimal feed costs, while improving the land where you farm. If that sounds like your ideal cattle farm, then you're in the right place. We're creating a step-by-step guide to raising beef cattle, and we want you to be the first to know when it's available. Subscribe to Heifer USA and click the bell to be notified when our next tutorial is published.
Yeah, by the way, I need to tell you guys the channel, Heifer USA. If you want to see the video, a full video without my comments.
In addition to raising beef steers, you could establish a cow-calf operation or a farm for breeding cattle. In this model, you could make money by selling weaned calves to other farmers, or you could keep the calves on your farm, raising the steers for beef production and the heifers for breeding. At Heifer USA, we have a beef production system and a cow-calf system. We can breed our herd each year, raise steers to their finishing weight, then sell beef and byproducts. We can also recoup investments by selling weaned calves, heifers, and retired mama cows. We have a lot of flexibility with a combined herd of calves, steers, and mama cows. So why wouldn't everyone want to breed their own cattle? First, A cow-calf operation can be time-consuming and
Oh yeah,
labor-intensive,
definitely.
especially when providing extra care for pregnant mamas or newborn calves. Steer herds are easy.
Yeah, you need to have some knowledge. I guess everybody can learn it. That's no problem. But what I say, go to a farmer and help out for a year, and you're fine. You have the basic knowledge. If something strange happens, you can always call the farmer or a vet. They don't mind. They rather have you call them for help than something goes wrong with the animal.
Easier to manage in a rotational grazing system, especially if you've never raised cattle before. A big challenge of starting your first herd is learning to assess forage availability. Rotational grazing is both a science and an art, and it takes patience, practice, and careful observation to anticipate the needs of your herd. For beginning farmers, I highly recommend starting with steers to learn the cycles of rotational grazing before diving into a cow-calf operation. Breeding
Yeah.
livestock can be complicated, but when you're ready to take the plunge, I'll be here to guide you through every step of breeding, pregnancy, and calving with this video. Whether you want to raise steers for beef, manage your own cow-calf operation, or do a little bit of both, knowing your goal will help you answer important questions. Next up, we're talking logistics. The who, what, when, where, and how of establishing your cattle farm.
Yeah, that's something. If you buy land, if it's far from each other, the pieces of land, you need to have transport as well. So that will cost you a lot of money. So yeah, I'm curious how she has it. If she has everything next to each other, you can just make patches next to each other and then just move them along. But most farmers don't have that luxury.
First-time farmers often face the same questions. How much land do I need to raise cattle? And how many animals should I start with? The answer to this question depends on the size of your herd, the quality of your forage, and your management style. Some farmers use a continuous grazing system where the cattle continuously graze on one patch of land for weeks or months at a time. The cows technically have everything they need, and the farmers can dedicate less time to chores on the farm. Many people choose to farm this way, and that's okay, but continuous grazing isn't the best way to raise cattle. It often degrades land and uses resources inefficiently. What about rotational grazing? Rotational grazing is a regenerative practice.
It's really exciting. uh, but yeah, I think that's a wrong way to go. If it's all the way down like they showed here, you have a chance, especially if you have hard winters.
The cows technically have everything they need, and the farmers can dedicate less time to chores on the farm.
Maybe I'm too far already. But
many people choose to farm this way.
Anyway, if it's too short and it will be winter and you have hard winters, it will die. So it will take a long time before it grows back in the spring.
And that's okay, but continuous grazing isn't the best way to raise cattle. It often degrades land and
like this. It's getting pretty short, so it needs some time to grow back again.
Uses resources inefficiently. What about rotational grazing? Rotational grazing is a regenerative practice where livestock are contained in small areas of pasture and moved frequently. As the animals graze in one small portion of pasture, called a paddock, the remainder of the pasture rests, allowing the soil to recover from the impact of grazing. The cow's natural behavior, like eating grasses straight from the soil, depositing waste in the pasture, and trampling the ground as they move, all encourage regeneration, as forage plants regrow above the soil and deepen their root systems below the ground. At Heifer Ranch, we utilize a form of rotational grazing called holistic planned grazing. By getting our cattle to the right place at the right time with the right behavior, we can feed our animals and positively impact the land where they graze. We'll move our herd into a small paddock where they'll graze on native plants. They can eat anything in the paddock, but we only want them to take one bite from each plant. That bite nourishes the cow, but it also stimulates the plant to regrow. If the animal bites the plant more than once, we call that overgrazing. An overgrazed pasture can't regenerate as quickly, and it can become vulnerable to soil erosion. Instead, we prevent overgrazing by moving our cattle to a new paddock each morning. They trample the soil and leave behind their waste in the old paddock. We leave this area to recover for at least 60 days before any livestock graze on it again. Over time, this
60 days. All right, that's quite long. Most farmers don't have that luxury that they can do 60 days. Especially not the ones that have hard winters. No way. Almost the summer is past already.
paddock will yield more forage, making it even more valuable for grazing. This system of planned grazing requires hands-on animal management, which lets you build a relationship with your herd and your land. Though daily moves can be time-consuming, you'll spend that time with your cattle, observing their behavior, assessing their forage, and checking their health. You'll be able to make better, more informed decisions about your herd, like when to move them or how much land they'll need for grazing. Let's talk about a key concept in livestock rearing: stocking rates, aka the number of animals you can raise on a given unit of land. Because cattle breeds vary widely in size and weight, farmers often use a standardized measurement called animal units to determine stocking rates. 1 AU is equivalent to 1,000 pounds of live animal weight. For our South Pole cattle, we estimate that a mature cow is 1 AU, a bull is 2 AU, and a calf is about half an animal unit. Our goal is to allot 1.5 to 2 acres for each animal unit. For example, a herd of 50 mature cows will equate to roughly 50 AU, requiring 75 to 100 acres to support the herd.
7,500 acres. All right. What is the acre? We don't use acres. Let's check it out. Acre to... I don't know, I'm used to acres now, so I'm not... So 10 and 4 acre. Hmm. 75 to, let's say 100 then. After 400 to 4. Whoa. Okay. Really? How many cows you said? Sorry.
Unit. For example, a herd of 50 mature cows will equate to roughly 50 AU, requiring 75 to 100 acres to support the herd.
50 cows, 400 for acre. I'm just thinking how much we use at the farm for milking cows. But we have about 80 milking cows, and then the rest of the stock. I think we use way less, and we do it the same way.
But that's the ideal stocking rate for our land. Stocking rates vary across terrain and climates. Using this link, you can contact your local USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service Center, where an agriculture specialist in your area.
I'm not sure where they are actually, because it looks very greenish, but if you see the background here, I don't know if it's the same area or it's just stock food, but it looks like it's very dry.
Can provide specific recommendations for stocking rates. Now, let's tackle another big decision. What breed of cattle should I raise? When selecting
That's a big difference between if you have them for meat or if you have them for milk or both, and how they are with people, how they react to the environment. There's a lot of difference in the breeds.
breed, consider your goals, your land, your climate, and your ecosystem to find the perfect fit. Farmers in cold climates should choose breeds with long, thick coats, while farmers in warm climates should opt.
Depends. If you have them inside in the winter, then you don't really need that. Those are actually my favorite cows. Scottish Highland cows, we call them. I don't know.
Rates.
Sorry about
Now, let's tackle options with these experienced farmers can be a huge advantage as you establish your farm. At Heifer USA, we aim to provide advice for small-scale regenerative farmers all over the world, but no one knows your corner of the world better than the farmers who steward it. We'll talk later about finding your farming community, but for now, back to breeds.
That's not that difficult to find your farming community. What happened?
In addition to full breeds like Angus or Hereford, you may consider crossbred cattle for your farm. These animals often present the most favorable traits from each breed in their genetics, leading to strong and healthy herds. At Heifer USA, we raise South Pole cattle, a composite breed that contains genetics from Angus, Hereford, Barzona, and Senepol breeds. The result is a small-framed animal with a docile temperament, great mothering abilities, and a metabolism that thrives on pasture. South Pole cattle can withstand the heat of Arkansas summers, and their red coats reduce fly problems. South Pole cattle are perfect for our farm because
Never heard of it. But I guess it's a special breed that they made in that area.
our farmers carefully and holistically considered the context in which the animals would be raised. We've linked a few helpful resources in the description of this video. So now we're ready to ask another big question. Where do I buy my animals? First and foremost, avoid the sale barn if possible. The animals sold here have typically been removed from other farmers' herds because they exhibit health or behavior issues. They'll present financial and logistical challenges. Instead, purchase animals from sanctioned cattle auctions and respected breeders in your area. Research the breed you've chosen. There's likely a national network of breeders, like the American Angus Association or the South Pole Grass Cattle Association. Be sure to locate breeders near your land to lower transportation costs and ensure the new cattle are acclimated.
Yeah, we don't really have those kind of markets and stuff like that here in Europe. I think England has it, but maybe France as well, but you cannot really recognize it in Norway. Germany, I've never heard of it. Maybe they have. Netherlands doesn't work that way either. But if you want to have some cattle, just go to a local farmer and he can breed them for you if you want. No problem whatsoever. Maybe you need to wait 9 months, a little bit more even, because they are not allowed to be transported right away. So, like let's say if you plan to buy a farm, or you have bought a farm in the end of the summer, just say to the farmer, I need cattle or calves, and they breed it for you. No problem whatsoever. The cheapest way, actually. And you get the kind of cow you want.
To your ecoregion. Before your animals arrive, you'll need systems to feed, water, and protect your herd. Let's get into the infrastructure of your new farm. What kind of fencing do I need to raise cattle? First, learn the difference between permanent fencing and temporary fencing. Consider which system will best serve your needs. Permanent fencing is sturdy and
that's with those spikes on it. That's not allowed anymore in Norway, and most countries are not allowing that anymore because it's bad for the veldt. So deer get trapped in it or get hurt, and then they jump over, and it's very bad. So all the ways to have a permanent fence.
Durable and can be constructed from many types of materials, like wooden or metal posts connected by barbed wire or high tensile wire. Permanent fencing works well to secure the perimeters of large pastures, but many farmers raise.
By the way, the stirs, the metal or the wooden, that depends very much where you are, how expensive they are where you are. In Australia, it was cheaper to buy the metal ones. In Norway, it's way cheaper to get the wooden ones, and they last longer.
Raising cattle on small acreage utilize temporary fencing to more closely manage their land. Rotational grazing requires frequent moves through small paddocks. Using temporary fencing supplies, the easiest way to create paddocks is to divide a large pasture into small sections or strips. To get started, you'll...
Yeah, most farmers do that, but I've always had the idea, if you always make those patches or those strips anyway, why not just make a gate in it and have permanent fencing? Downside is you cannot adjust it, of course. But yeah, then just move them a little bit faster or slower, and have them 1.5 days on one patch or something. I don't know. Most farmers have the same. They keep the same amount of cows anyway. I know it's cheaper this way, but in the long run, like 10 years or so, it will be cheaper with permanent fencing. But that's just my opinion, and I work for farmers. They do it like this as well. Maybe I'm wrong.
You'll need to invest about $800 to $1,000 for a solar charger, fence posts, electric wire, and necessary accessories. These tools allow precise control for animal management, but frequent setup and teardown of electric fencing can be labor-intensive. If rotational grazing and regeneration are priorities for your farm, temporary fencing is a must-have. Our favorite temporary fencing products are made by Gallagher Animal Management, and we've been using their supplies across.
Yeah, okay, I don't need the commercial stuff. Let's go.
Clean and fresh. You could create a man-made pond or well on your farm, but it would be an ambitious and expensive project. Your land may have access to a municipal water source, which is very convenient, but could be costly depending on your region. At Heifer Ranch, we use hydrants, water hoses, and quick connect systems to access a municipal water supply. The moment your cows enter a new paddock, they should see a clean and reliable source of fresh water. Your waterers should be appropriately sized for your herd to prevent overcrowding and dehydration.
Yeah, and you need to be sure it's not too wet around it. If it is, they wait a very long time before they go and drink, and then they drink less and less.
We recommend at least 1 to 2 inches of waterer perimeter per animal. Here are a few common designs for water tanks. This DIY water trough is a favorite here at Heifer Ranch. Comprised of a 100-gallon Rubbermaid tank, a Job Megaflow float valve, and a few bits of hardware, one waterer can be assembled in less than an hour for about $400. These are great temporary waterers since they can be emptied, scrubbed clean, moved, and refilled relatively quickly.
Very important, scrub them clean very often. They drink more.
You can build your own DIY water trough using this tutorial with product links and step-by-step instructions from our very own Christine Hernandez. No area for weighing or health checks. When we recently installed a waterer like this in another pasture, it cost $300 for the concrete tank, $60 for a float valve, and $2,000 to...
Yeah, farming is expensive.
If you prefer to purchase waterers instead of building your own, we recommend the brand Ritchie, which offers
thank you.
Closure for holding livestock, but on a cattle...
All those recommendations, that's like very personal, or in their case, maybe even money related. But anyway, everybody has his own way of making it. Just make sure it's clean water, enough places, and easy access.
Farm, a corral typically looks like this: a wooden or metal structure divided into several smaller sections with a long, thin alleyway for moving animals single file. Most corrals contain a central weighing station with a livestock scale, squeeze chute, and head gate. This
kind of stuff we don't do ourselves. We don't have this in Norway. Some farmers have a scale, but most don't even have that. If you want to know the weight of a cow, we have tape measurement, and then we have a table how big and how heavy they are most of the times, and it's pretty accurate. But I guess if you want to know the exact weight, you need to have a scale, but we don't really use that in Norway, at least. I haven't seen it in Germany either. Of course, it depends on what kind of farm you are, but in Australia, US, I've seen it a lot like this, but not that much in Europe. I guess we just trust the butchers and stuff like that to weigh our cattle.
Mechanism allows the farmer to contain a cow and hold it steady while conducting health checks, administering vaccinations, and much more. Buying or building
in vaccinations, we don't use it. Of course, we have one of those fences. When they start eating, we can close it up, and then they are stuck with the head. We can use that for the vaccination, so they cannot go anywhere. I don't know what the English word is for that kind of fence, but most vaccinations I give when they, of course, in a milking robot, I can close the door so when they are finished, they are not getting out, and I can just give them a vaccination there if it's necessary. but we try not to give too many vaccinations in Europe, so as less as possible.
A corral will probably be one of your biggest expenses, and costs can vary widely. Brands like Prefert and Powder River offer
Yeah, very nice.
customize the design and materials to fit your farm's needs. At Heifer USA, this four-way corral is where we conduct most of our cattle management. It's comprised of metal pipe fencing and gates, with 4 distinct holding areas and an alleyway. This corral has lasted for decades, letting us work herds as large as 120 animals at
Yeah, I don't know. We don't use it this way, but that's because we have stables, so it's very easy to port them there. I guess you need it if you don't have that. But it is cheaper than a stable. Way cheaper.
a time. In our corral, we use the Prefert model S.
Yeah, I don't really care about that. Let's see. Herd health, let's go there. Vaccination schedules, all right.
In the comments of our videos, we get lots of questions about vaccinations for livestock. While I'd love to show a simple
Vaccinations. I don't think they get vaccinations. I'm just thinking, no. We don't have that many diseases, I guess. They do get, when they go first time out, they get a big, yeah, how do you call it? Something they need to swallow. So we need to keep the head and then just not push it in. They need to swallow the stick with that. Then we release it like a big ass tablet. This big, but that's like a cow's. Yeah, we cannot swallow that, but the cow can easily. And that's the only thing we give them before they go out for the first time. We don't really vaccinate them. I've never done it at least. I know a lot of maybe cattle that is used for meat. That's different, I don't know.
table of dates and doses
Actually.
for your cattle. Vaccination requirements vary depending on your location and the age of your animals. The best way to stay up to date with vaccinations is to consult with your veterinarian.
Oh,
Anytime
okay.
you add an animal to your farm, vaccination requirements may change. So as you establish your first herd, plan to administer annual vaccinations.
In Norway, you must have one vet dedicated to your farm. So she will tell you when things change. And every animal that moves from farm to farm needs to have a health check from a veterinarian. So you will know if something is wrong. And most of the time they are not even allowed to move if they have something wrong with the cattle.
To fight diseases like bovine respiratory syncytial virus, infectious bovine rhinotracheitis, parainfluenza 3, and blackleg. At Heifer Ranch, we administer Ultra Choice 7 to our newborn calves. They receive 1 dose at 3 months of age, then a booster 2 months later. This vaccination suite protects the animals from multiple diseases and will last throughout their time at the ranch. A 50-dose supply costs $52.
Yeah, that will be expensive actually, but what I say, I never. I'm actually. What should I feed? That can be interesting. What she says about that. Because it's so different between every place you are actually, if you need vaccinations or not. And I think it's not very smart to listen to other people that not even live in your county, or just contact the veterinarian about that kind of stuff.
A well-balanced diet is crucial for both your cattle's health and your bottom line, since well-fed cattle reach finishing weights more quickly and consistently. If the forage on your land is bountiful enough or managed well enough, it should support the nutritional needs of your herd.
Why? Just a moment. Maybe that helps a little bit, but I don't think so.
But if you need additional feed,
It's
you
music
can
on the
supply hay
background.
bales to supplement your animal's diet. But once again, I highly recommend that you avoid feeding your cattle any grain-based feed. Cattle have a complex digestive system that's adapted to thrive on a high-fiber diet. Introducing grains can disrupt their digestive processes, leading to health issues like acidosis and bloat. When managed properly, your pastures should offer a varied mix of grasses, legumes.
Like what she says below, it's common if they eat a lot of it when they are not used to it. Then you get that reaction. You got some feeds that they can eat a lot of, and they have less grains in it, but other stuff. So it's like, I don't think grain is the best food for cows. I agree with that. At least the grains. If it's growing, like still green grains before it's harvest, they love that as well. I think that's no problem at all. So you can seed some grains, and they will love it. More expensive, but
And other forbs, providing a well-rounded nutritional profile for cattle. Introducing grains can lead to overgrazing of certain preferred forages, diminishing their nutritional content. While adequate forage will meet most of your herd's nutritional needs, you will need to supplement their diet with salt and minerals to support muscle tone, nerve and immune system function, healthy skin and coats, reproductive health, and much more. For a low cost and low labor.
yeah, that's depends. If they can stay outside all year long, you can like grass feed them, and then it will be all right. And sometimes you need to give them some minerals anyway. Depends what kind of pastures you have. And the problem is in the winter, like it's very cold winters, and they go inside. You have no choice to then give them some minerals, because otherwise they don't get enough. Especially with milking cows, it's very important. Yeah.
Solution, we recommend
Everything is just low, like based. Yeah, everything is just depends on where you are in the world, in the country even.
and offering your cattle a blend of salt and minerals in a feeder like this. In the past, we've used Purina Wind and Rain all-season cattle minerals, which costs $50 per 50-pound bag. If you're able to invest more time, money, and effort into a tailored salt and mineral program, Consider a free choice mineral feeder, which offers cattle a choice of individual minerals, allowing them to follow their natural cravings for more balanced nutrition.
Okay,
You can
that's
learn more about this.
kind of smart. But if you have so many different, I've never seen that actually, that they can choose themselves. Most of the time you buy one of those mixes and then you just, this is actually a kind of interesting way. Learn something new.
System in this video, where we tested free choice feeders so you don't have to. Finally, let's review the financial elements of starting a cattle farm. Your biggest startup costs will be purchasing or leasing land, establishing infrastructure, investing in necessary equipment, and acquiring your animals. After that, your
So that's your first $1 million.
biggest ongoing expenses will be veterinary care and vaccinations, infrastructure maintenance, and any additional feed or supplement your animals need. Here are my best tips for financing your farm affordably. Start small. Starting with a small herd will allow you to gain experience with a new species, especially if you plan to use rotational grazing. As you gain more experience, you can slowly expand your herd and your infrastructure. Find fellow farmers who can split costs and share specific advice for your region, your production system, your breed of cattle, and more. Here are a few of the many ways you can network with other farmers. Join a farmers cooperative. In many co-ops, nearby farmers share resources like tractors and livestock trailers, split costs for transportation, and even collaborate to sell.
Yeah, especially equipment. They, at least we do that as well. It's not as big anymore. We gain with 4 or 5 farmers. And now it's just, I think, 2, and the third one is just renting some stuff once in a while. So yeah. But I think you can save some money, some more stability, I guess. And most of them in Norway are or related or very close friends who do that. And but you did see it more before, I guess. The smaller farmers cannot pay it anymore, so they jump out. Maybe they start new ones with all the small farmers, but it will be not too long before all the small farmers are gone in Norway as well.
Products. Join a farmers association that aligns with your farming goals, where you can meet local farmers, learn about resources in your area, and participate in educational events and conferences. Connect with other cattle farmers via social media. In the description of this video, we've linked a few Facebook groups for small-scale cattle farmers. Members can share success stories, ask for advice, and offer solutions for common issues. Be creative. Many aspiring farmers get overwhelmed by the potential costs of establishing their cattle farm. But creative farmers find ways to reduce costs without compromising their goals. For example, if purchasing farmland isn't feasible for your budget, consider leasing land.
Yeah, not always cheaper though.
My two greatest passions are raising cattle and teaching others.
All right. Give me my mouse. All right, thank you, Miss Heifer. I don't know. Yeah, but that's some good tips, actually. But I would start joining at least, start working at a farm, and then start small while working. Just start with 4 or 5 cows and make it bigger slowly. That's the way I would do it. The biggest problem anywhere in the world is getting land and renting land, and yeah, that's just the biggest problem anywhere, I guess. And of course, land you can use, because you can maybe buy some land. Like in Spain, there's a lot of land you can buy quite cheap, but it's not really useful. It's dry, it's nothing grows on it. Don't have water anywhere, or almost anywhere. Maybe you have it 3 months a year and then it's dry. Yeah, so think things through. Anyway, maybe you learned something from this. Please let me know in the comments if I forgot to mention something. And I see you next time. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.